Hi, I'm Trevor Dumbleton from trevordumbleton.com, and today we're going to talk about the 5 W's of content creation. And it's not technical, it's quite fun, because when it comes to creating content, the 5 W's are just a fantastic way to either quickly create your content, or even better, which I've done a few times now, create 5 pieces of content revolving around one subject. So it's a nice shortcut. You can just switch your subject around and ask each of the 5 questions in turn, but either way they're well worth using, and they're a great way to unstick things like writer's block. The first question is who, and traditionally it's taken to mean who is the content about, because these were go back to journalism type things, but you can equally twist it round to who is the content aimed at. Doesn't matter, either way the question is who, and keep in mind who you're writing for as you progress through your content creation. That this is just an easy way of, it stops you getting sidetracked and it helps you focus on meeting the needs of your site visitors. Because if you let your mind drift and don't think about who, then you just go down all sorts of, they're called rabbit holes or similar things, just sidetracks, tangents, whatever you call them. Next question is what, and that's what do you want the content you're creating to do, because it needs a purpose, and whether that's to inform people, which is quite a good one. You can do that for, well, this is an informative thing, I hope, and if you're a plumber or something like that, you could do the sort of checks that you need to run through in just before the winter starts, so you're most likely to get through the winter without having your central heating going down. Or the what could equally be helping towards buying something, helping people to think, what do I need this for? And it's pretty much any purpose that is ethical, because obviously you want it to be ethical and make sense. But what is, again, a really powerful thing. If you looked at something and just said, what on earth is that? You know how powerful it is. And using an example, a soft drink would most likely claim it was going to quench your thirst. Some of the energy drinks obviously will claim the what is will give you more energy. Alcoholic drinks a little bit more subversive, because they have to get around regulators. So whilst they're saying you're probably going to, typically you're going to have a good time, you're going to attract the opposite sex, but that has to be the subliminal message that's in those, because it has to say, well, drink responsibly and all that kind of stuff. So what can be a little bit subversive, but again, it depends. And content on your website, if you're doing something, a video, an audio, an article, whatever it happens to be, just run the question, what's in it for me, from your reader or your viewers or your listeners' perspective, so that it'll be running through their mind anyway. So if you answer it, that's extra points for you, and that actually gives them more trust in you and what you're saying. Next question, third one, is where. Again, this goes back to the journalism side. If you're telling a narrative, it's where the event took place. But if you're creating other content, it can be as simple as where the product or the information you're sharing can be used. So if we randomly take, say, a set of plans for a chicken coop, that would most likely be used at your home, or maybe an allotment or small holding. Whereas if you've got a mobile phone, that could be used pretty much anywhere that has signal. And say something like an all-terrain, the where would be, well, you can use it in territory that was out of bounds to regular push bikes, and so on. And working out where should, in theory at least, be quite easy for you. And if not, put your thinking cap on and it should come to you. And, well, let's carry on with the information I'm giving here. It could be used on your website, could be on a mobile phone app, could be used in print or radio or television, could be transcribed quite easily, or it could be used in a direct mail piece, and quite probably quite a lot of other places. And if of short of inspiration, this whole piece could be recreated several times. We just said about 4 or 5 different things there to suit each of these eventualities, with examples to help you translate things to your own needs. So you could spin this out. Spinning it out's the wrong word, but you could use it to create lots and lots of content if you decided to move that direction. Next question, the fourth one, is when. And again, in a narrative or a TV series like 24, which perpetually shows you the time, it is that. It's when did the event take place, when did it happen, or whatever. But quite often in a sales letter, the when is actually while stocks last. because obviously if they've run out you can't buy them, or whilst the promotion's on, or pretty much with a sales promotion, any other excuse to just nudge people into making the purchase decision sooner rather than later. Partly because in so many things in life, later actually means never, it's just shorthand. And if you run a service industry or a website that's got seasonal variations, again, use the seasons. When? Well, okay, buy it before Christmas because it's Christmas decorations and it's daft to buy them afterwards, unless you're one of these people that buys them half price in January sales. So any kind of excuse, and if you're not sure, just go to one of the online diaries or even the diary on your phone and just look at so many different events that are around that will give you lots and lots of hooks for when. There's events daily, and you don't need a daily one. Weekly, monthly, quarterly, doesn't matter. Most shops it's pretty much quarterly with the seasons. So you could do that. Depends how long your sales cycle is, all sorts of things like that. And the fifth question is why, and it's probably the most important of the 5 questions. And it can certainly lead to a complete piece of content on its own. It's really, really, really powerful. And just use it to question your first answer, and possibly even the second, third, fourth, fifth, however many answers. Just develop a kind of childlike sense of wonder and just keep asking why. It works. And partly the reason it works is so often we do things just because, and that's kind of the excuse. If you've ever been quizzed by a child, you'll know that you kind of answer, well, everyone knows that, and you then think about it and, well, actually not everyone knows about it because firstly you've just been asked about it. So asking the why question actually forces us to re-examine our answers to things, and that is really, really, really powerful. And as I said, if you're running out of content or whatever, just ask why a few times and just dig down, and the further and the deeper you dig, the more the answers will actually come and the more content you'll be able to create. And challenging the status quo by asking why often leads to extra traffic. If you use it to create something even vaguely controversial, even if you weren't setting out to rock the boat, chances are if you've asked it correctly, it will stir up questions in the people that are doing whatever it is with your content, reading it, listening to it, watching it. Sometimes questions that have been nagging away at the back of their mind and suddenly come to the forefront, you've helped them bubble up, and that can be, it's one of the reasons that things like lists are done. It's lots and lots of things, but why is really powerful, because you can say, well, and it's how how the shock jocks work. They just challenge the status quo all the time, and if you can work out a way to do that just by asking why, you'll have more than enough content, and you'll have people firing questions and reactions back at you, and that in turn generates ideas for even more content. If you'd like to know more, my website is trevordumbleton.com, and pop along there, and there's lots more content to help you create more content.